I collapsed, 7 months pregnant, and my husband stood there. He watched, then turned away. His own mother told him I was just pretending. I woke up in a hospital bed, alone. But the secret I uncovered there would shake my world to its core, revealing a betrayal so deep, it still chills me to this day. Even now, more than a year later, my fingers still tremble when I think about it. But I have to tell this story. I need to finally free myself from the crushing weight I've been carrying. My name is Emily Johnson. I'm 32 years old, and just a year and a half ago, I genuinely believed I was the happiest woman alive. I had David, my loving husband of 5 years. We lived in a cozy little apartment in Charleston, and I had a great job as an editor. We'd been dreaming of a baby for so long, and when I finally got pregnant, it felt like an absolute miracle. We were both so excited, planning everything for our little one's arrival. So I thought. The only shadow in our perfect picture was his mother, Linda. From the very first moment she met me, she made it crystal clear I wasn't good enough for her precious son. Not pretty enough, not successful enough, certainly not from the wealthy family she'd envisioned for David. In the early years of our marriage, she constantly tried to meddle in our lives. She'd criticize my cooking, point out how I ironed David's shirts incorrectly, and subtly hint at my supposed lack of ambition. Every single visit ended with me in tears, inevitably leading to an argument with David, who always defended her. He'd say I misunderstood her, that she was just worried, that she just wanted to help. Over time, I learned to just tune Linda out. I'd smile, nod, and try to see her as little as possible. David continued his weekly visits to her, calling her every day. That level of attachment sometimes worried me, but I tried not to dwell on it. After all, he was still kind, attentive, and loving towards me. When I got pregnant, something shifted. Linda suddenly seemed interested, calling, asking how I felt, even offering help. I was genuinely surprised by the change. David explained she was simply thrilled to become a grandmother, that it had been her lifelong dream. I believed him. I even felt a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could finally get along. My pregnancy was going smoothly. I had some morning sickness in the first trimester, then mild anemia, but the doctors assured me it was nothing serious. I worked until my 6th month, then went on maternity leave. David was right there with me, helping around the house, coming to doctor's appointments. Though, as time went on, he started skipping a few, always blaming work. Then came my 7th month. We were invited to my cousin Sarah's birthday. I didn't really want to go. I was tired, dizzy, and swollen. But Sarah insisted she hadn't seen me with my bump yet, and the family really wanted to congratulate me. David pushed for it too. The party was in a small cafe nearby. About 15 people, family, a couple of close friends. I stayed in the background, barely eating, not even touching the non-alcoholic champagne. David sat beside me, but his eyes were glued to his phone, a small smile playing on his lips. I just assumed he was taking care of work, or maybe talking to his mom. About 2 hours in, I started feeling unwell again. Dizzy, nauseous, seeing black spots. I leaned over to David and whispered that we needed to go home. He just waved me off. Wait, they haven't even brought the cake yet. I went to the bathroom, hoping some cold water would help. I had to hold onto the walls. My legs felt like jelly. Standing at the mirror, I tried to breathe deeply, just like they taught us in prenatal classes. But it only got worse. When I returned to the table, I could barely whisper to David how bad I felt. He looked annoyed, but he stood up, apologized to the guests, and said we had to leave. Outside, the cool evening air cleared my head a little, but the weakness remained, and the nausea intensified. In the taxi, the dizziness came back with a vengeance. I don't remember the ride home, just struggling up the stairs because the elevator had been broken for a week. On the 3rd floor, my balance gave out, and I grabbed the railing, gasping. Emily, come on. You're fine. You're just tired, David said, his voice flat. David, I'm not fine. Please call an ambulance. He rolled his eyes and reached for his phone, but just then, the intercom buzzed. It was Linda. Son, I decided to stop by to see how you're doing. 5 minutes later, she was inside. Seeing me lying on the couch, eyes closed, she pursed her lips. What? Feeling sick again? Oh, Emily, you should stop listening to every little thing your body tells you. Pregnancy isn't an illness. I carried David, worked until the last day, and kept up with all the housework. And you've been on leave for 2 months already, just resting. I couldn't answer. I had no strength. It was useless anyway. Linda always thought she knew best. David told her we'd been at Sarah's birthday, that I'd gotten sick, and that I wanted him to call an ambulance. An ambulance? What for? You just waste the doctor's time. They are saving real patients. This? It's just normal tiredness, son. Give her some calming drops. Let her rest quietly, and she'll be fine. David, obedient as always, went to the kitchen for the drops. Linda sat beside me, lowering her voice. Emily, I know what you're doing. You're manipulating my son, using this pregnancy to tie him to you even more. But it won't work. David's a smart boy. He sees through it. I wanted to reply, to scream, but a new wave of weakness hit me. My arms and legs went numb. I felt myself sinking into darkness. The last thing I heard was Linda's voice, chillingly clear. Don't, son. Don't call. She's pretending. I woke up in the hospital. The first thing I saw was a white ceiling with a lightning-shaped crack. Then came the smell, disinfectant, medicine, and something else I couldn't place. I tried to lift my arm and saw it was hooked up to and for. I turned my head and saw a monitor tracking 2 heartbeats. Mine, steady and calm, and the baby's, racing. Fear surged through me. I tried to sit up, and a nurse appeared. A young woman with a tired but kind face. Easy, easy. Stay still. How do you feel? Where am I? What happened? Who brought me here? You're in the county hospital, in the maternity pathology ward. The ambulance brought you in. Your condition was serious, preeclampsia, high blood pressure, and risk of placental abruption. You're better now, but you mustn't stress. And is the baby okay? Yes, the baby's hanging in there, but you both need rest and treatment. The doctor will be here soon to explain more. And my husband, is he here? She hesitated, looking away. No one's here right now, but you can call him if you want. Here's your phone that came with you. She handed me my smartphone. The screen was cracked like a spiderweb, but it still worked. I unlocked it and saw several missed calls from David and a couple of messages. Emily, how are you? Text me when you wake up. Sorry, I can't come right now. Mom said you need rest and that visiting will only make things worse. Call me when you can. I put the phone aside and closed my eyes. The hurt was a physical ache, an anger I'd never known. I was lying in the hospital, in serious condition, my baby at risk, and my husband didn't even come. And once again, Linda was behind it, manipulating David. And he listened to her instead of me. An hour later, the doctor came. A plump, middle-aged woman with short hair and kind, attentive eyes. Well, Emily, you gave us quite a scare. Good thing the ambulance got to you in time. Any later, and the consequences could have been irreversible. Thank you. Who called the ambulance? I passed out at home, and my husband didn't want to call. The doctor looked at me in surprise. According to our records, it was a neighbor. She said she heard noise from your apartment, then calls for help. When the team arrived, the door was open, and you were lying unconscious on the floor, alone. I was stunned. So David and his mother had just left me there, pregnant and in danger. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Now, about your condition, she continued gently. You have preeclampsia, a serious pregnancy complication. Your blood pressure is high, there's protein in your urine, and you have swelling. These are signs your placenta isn't working properly. We'll keep you here for observation, probably until delivery. If things get worse, we'll have to do an emergency C-section. For now, we'll try conservative treatment. And is the baby okay? The doctor hesitated. The baby's holding on, but there are signs of fetal hypoxia. He's not getting enough oxygen. We're doing everything we can, but you need to be ready for a long hospital stay. No stress, no nerves. I nodded, holding back tears. She explained the treatment plan and was about to leave, but then came back and sat on the edge of the bed. Emily, I didn't want to tell you right away, but you need to know. When we did the ultrasound, we saw something unusual. You're carrying 2 babies. Twins. Twins? But how? Why didn't anyone tell me before? I had regular checkups. It's called a hidden twin, the doctor explained. One fetus can be hidden behind the other, especially if they share the same sac. But that's not all. One of the babies is smaller, behind in development. There are problems with the heartbeat. There's a risk that this one might not survive. The news stunned me. 2 babies instead of 1. And one of them might die. My heart twisted. Get some rest, Emily. I'll check on you later. She left, and I was alone with my thoughts and fears. David didn't even know yet. I dialed his number. Long rings, then voicemail. I left a short message, saying I was in the hospital. My condition was serious, and we needed to talk. Then I called my mom. She lived 250 miles away. She was shocked and said she was leaving immediately. Next, I called my friend Jessica, my college buddy. She knew all about my history with David and Linda. She was furious at their behavior and promised to come by with essentials: a toothbrush, a hairbrush, clean clothes. That evening, I tried to sleep, but it wouldn't come. The monitor beeped quietly, tracking 2 tiny heartbeats inside me. One strong and steady, the other weak and uneven. I stroked my belly and whispered, "Hang in there, babies. Mommy's here. Mommy loves you both." That night, I dreamed I was standing on a beach. On the horizon, 2 small figures were waving at me. I walked toward them, but my feet sank into the sand. Suddenly, one figure began to fade, disappearing. I screamed, reached out, but couldn't save it. I woke up in a cold sweat. Dawn was breaking outside. The monitor kept beeping. Then I froze. There was only one rhythm. The monitor, there's only one heartbeat. What's happening to my babies? I asked the nurse. She rushed in. Calm down, Emily. That happens sometimes. The baby might have just turned. We'll do an ultrasound in the morning to check. But I couldn't sleep. In the morning, my mom arrived, tired from the overnight drive, but so relieved to see me. She hugged me, cried, and started asking questions. I told her about the preeclampsia, the twins, the risks. Don't worry, sweetheart. Everything will be okay. We'll get through this. I'm staying with you, she said. And your husband. I'll give him a piece of my mind. Mom, please don't. I can't get stressed. She pressed her lips together but nodded. Soon, the doctor came, checked my blood pressure, listened to both babies' hearts. The second baby's heartbeat is weak, but it's there. Let's do an ultrasound now. They wheel me into the exam room. Cold gel, the probe, the doctor's tense face. They are both alive, she finally said. The first is developing normally. The second is behind, with blood flow issues, but still fighting. We'll keep monitoring and do everything we can. I exhaled. Both of my babies were alive. That was all that mattered. Back in my room, I found Jessica waiting. She had brought everything: clothes, toiletries, water, fruit. The moment she saw me, she rushed to hug me. Emily, you scared me so much. I didn't sleep all night. The 3 of us, me, Mom, and Jessica, sat talking, making plans. Mom decided to stay in town until the birth and rented a room nearby. Jessica promised to visit every day and help however she could. But David still didn't show up. No calls, no messages. It was as if I, and our babies, didn't exist. That evening, after Mom and Jessica left, promising to return tomorrow, I tried calling him again. This time, he answered. His voice was tense, distant. Emily, how are you? Sorry I couldn't pick up before. I was busy. Busy? I'm in the hospital in serious condition. And you are busy doing what? Exactly. Emily, please don't start. I've had a lot of work, and Mom's been sick, so I was with her. Anger boiled inside me, but I remembered the doctor's warning. No stress. I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice calm. David, I have a serious pregnancy complication. Preeclampsia, high blood pressure, Risk for both me and the baby. And there's more. We're having twins. 2 babies, not 1. Silence. Twins? Are you sure? Why didn't they tell us earlier? I explained about the hidden twin, the developmental delay, the risks. He listened without saying a word. I waited for any reaction. Joy, worry, something. I'll come tomorrow. I promise. But I have to go now. Mom's calling me. And he hung up. I stayed at the dock screen. A strange feeling grew inside me. Something was off in his reaction, his words, his tone. That night, the same dream returned. The beach, the 2 figures, one fading away. But now I saw the other figure's face. It was David. He stood there, watching our child disappear, indifferent and unmoved. I woke up feeling drained, with a pounding headache. My blood pressure had spiked, and they had to give me an injection. The doctor was concerned and said that if it continued, they'd have to do a C-section, even this early. Risky, but sometimes the only way to save both the babies and the mother. During the day, Mom and Jessica came again. They brought fresh fruit and books to keep me busy. Mom told me about settling into her rented room and her plans to help after the birth. Jessica shared office gossip, trying to make me laugh. I smiled and nodded, but my thoughts were elsewhere. Where was David? Why wasn't he here? Why didn't he call? By evening, still no sign of him. No call, no text. The hurt kept building, my throat tight with emotion. Mom saw it and tried to distract me. Emily, don't think about him now. You can't let yourself get upset. Focus on the babies, on the fact that soon you'll be together. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. My husband, the father of my children, had abandoned me at the hardest moment of my life. The next morning, during rounds, I broke down in tears. I told the doctor everything about David, about my fears. She listened closely, then sat beside me, taking my hand. Emily, I'm not a psychologist, but as a doctor, I can tell you this. Your emotional state directly affects your health and your baby's health. Right now, you need to focus on yourself and them. Everything else can wait. I'm trying, really, but I can't stop wondering. Why is he doing this? What did I do wrong? She paused, as if deciding whether to say more. In 20 years of practice, I've seen many situations. Sometimes men can't handle the pressure, especially when there are pregnancy complications or sick children. Not everyone is ready to carry that weight. But it's not your fault. Her words calmed me a little, but the bitterness stayed. Could David really be that kind of man? Later that day, lying with my eyes closed, I heard the door open quietly. I assumed it was a nice and didn't look. But then I caught a familiar scent. His cologne, mixed with cigarette smoke. I opened my eyes. He was standing by the door, shifting awkwardly from foot to foot, holding a bouquet of white roses, my favorite. Hi, can I come in? He asked. I nodded, fighting conflicting emotions, relief that he'd come, and anger that it had taken so long. He put the flowers in a vase and sat beside me. He looked awful, pale, drawn, dark circles under his eyes. Sorry I didn't come yesterday. I couldn't. All of this, it's just so unexpected. Twins, pregnancy complications. I was scared. Scared of responsibility. Scared there might be problems with the babies. Do you think I'm not scared? It's my body, David. Our children are growing inside me. One of them might not survive. I'm in danger, too. But I can't run, hide, pretend nothing's happening. I have to be strong. For me, for them, for all of us. He lowered his head. I know. I've been weak and selfish, thinking only about myself and my fears. Your mom said, I began, then cut myself off sharply. What does your mom have to do with this? Was it her idea for you not to come? To leave me unconscious on the floor at home? To ignore my calls? He looked up, confusion, guilt, and fear in his eyes. Emily, don't. Mom has nothing to do with this. She's just worried. Worried about the kids. The ones you abandoned. One of them could die at any moment. The ones you didn't even want to meet. Didn't come to the ultrasound to see. Didn't hear their heartbeats. I knew I was raising my voice. Knew I shouldn't get upset, but I couldn't stop. Too much had built up, hurt, fear, disappointment. Please, calm down. I'm here now. Everything will be okay. Okay? You think it's okay that you showed up 2 days after I was hospitalized? That you left me unconscious? That you listened to your mother instead of your wife? He stayed silent. Just then, a nurse came in, saw my flushed, angry face, and glanced at the monitor showing my elevated blood pressure. What's going on, hey? Emily, you can't be getting upset. And you, young man, should probably leave. David stood, gave me a guilty look. I'll come tomorrow. I promise. And I love you. Really. He left, and I was left with the feeling something was unsaid. Something about his words, his behavior, didn't sit right. The nurse gave me a sedative. This isn't good, Emily. You have to take care of yourself, for the babies. I nodded. She was right. That evening, Mom came. Seeing the flowers, she pressed her lips together. So, he finally showed up. And what did he say? Mom, please don't start. I'm having a hard enough time as it is. She softened, hugged me. Sorry, sweetheart. I'm just so angry at him. I know. I'm angry too. But right now, the most important thing is the babies. Their health, their lives. Mom nodded and changed the subject. That night, the same dream came again. The beach, the two figures, one fading away. But now I could see the second one. It was Linda. She stood watching as my child vanished. A triumphant, cruel smile on her face. I awoke in a cold sweat. The monitor showed 2 heartbeats. One strong, the other weaker but steady. My babies were alive, both of them, and I had to do everything to keep it that way. In the morning, the doctor came, checked me over, and reviewed my vitals. Emily, your blood pressure has stabilized, which is good, but you need to continue treatment, stay on strict bed rest, and avoid stress. That's crucial. Doctor, tell me, do they have a chance? Both of them. Could they both be okay? She hesitated, then answered honestly. There's always a chance. The first baby is developing normally and most likely will be fine. The second one is smaller, weaker, with blood flow issues, but babies can surprise us sometimes. The weakest are the ones who fight the hardest. So, yes, there's a chance. But you need to be prepared for anything. I nodded. I understood that no one could give me a guarantee. But the fact that a chance existed was enough. I had to hold on to it. That afternoon, David came. No flowers this time, but a bag of fruit and juice. He looked better than yesterday. More composed, calmer. Hi, how are you feeling? Better. My blood pressure is stable. The babies are okay, as much as they can be. He sat beside me, his fingers cold and trembling slightly. Emily, I want to apologize for everything. For not being there when you were admitted. For not answering your calls. For leaving you in the apartment that day. I stayed quiet, waiting for more. I panicked when you fainted. I didn't know what to do. Mom said we shouldn't call an ambulance, that you were just tired and needed rest. I believed her. She's my mom. I've always trusted her. Then we left. She said she needed me to walk her home, that you'd be fine, that you'd wake up soon. I listened in disbelief. They had simply walked away, left me unconscious, in danger, because his mother told him to. And you didn't think to come back, to check on me, to make sure I and the babies were okay. He lowered his eyes. I thought about it, but Mom said it would look like I didn't trust her, and that it would hurt her feelings. And I listened to her again. His voice was full of despair, helplessness. David, do you realize what could have happened? I could have died. Our babies could have died because you listened to your mother instead of using your own judgment. He nodded without looking up. I know, and I'm not asking for forgiveness because something like that can't be forgiven. I just want you to know that I understand my guilt, and I'll try to change. For you, for the babies. I stared at him, unsure what I felt. Anger, disappointment, pity. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forget this. Maybe I can forgive you someday. But forget? No. Right now, I have to focus on the babies and on myself. Everything else comes later. He nodded. I understand. I'll be here. I'll come every day. Help however I can. And I'll talk to Mom. Make her understand she's wrong. I gave a faint smile. I'd heard that promise before. All right, David. Talk to her if you can. At that moment, a nurse came in with a new 4-in-1 pills. David stood and kissed my forehead. I'll come tomorrow. And I love you, Emily. Really? He left, and that same sense of something unsaid lingered, like he was keeping something from me. The nurse set up the 4, gave me the pills, and checked the monitor. Everything looks good, Emily. Both babies are holding on, especially the second one. His readings have improved. I smiled. It was the first truly good news I'd had in a long time. That evening, Mom and Jessica came. They brought homemade chicken soup in a thermos, fruit salad, and fresh magazines. Mom talked about her plans for the next few days. Jessica about office gossip. I listened and smiled, but my thoughts kept drifting back to David's words, his promises. After they left, I picked up my phone and decided to check my email. I hadn't looked in a while. There were plenty of unread messages. I skimmed through, deleting junk and answering the important ones. Then I noticed something odd. In the deleted folder, there was an email from David, but I couldn't remember him ever emailing me. We always communicated by phone or messaging apps. I opened it and froze. It wasn't for me. Then I remembered a few months ago, David had asked to use my laptop. His had broken, and he needed to send documents quickly. I'd given him my email password. He must have forgotten to log out afterward, and later sent this email, thinking he was on his own account. When he realized the mistake, he deleted it, but it had stayed in the trash folder. I began to read. With each line, the ground seemed to fall away beneath me. Dear Anna, I can't get you out of my head after our last meeting. Everything we talked about feels so right, so real. I know I'm being cruel to Emily. I know I should tell her the truth, but not now, while she's pregnant. It would destroy her. I spoke to Mom. She thinks I should stay with Emily until the birth. Make sure the baby is fine, and then we can be together, you and me. I love you, Anna, more than life, and soon nothing will stand between us. Kisses, your D. I read the letter over and over, unable to believe it. David was cheating on me, and his mother knew. More than that, she approved. She was advising him to stay with me only until the babies were born, then leave me. The email was sent 3 months ago, when I was 4 months pregnant. When David and I were picking names for the baby, talking about decorating the nursery. And all that time, he'd been lying to me. I felt sick. My whole body shook with rage and pain. This was betrayal. Cold, calculated betrayal. I needed to talk to someone, but not Mom. She wouldn't be able to hold back. Not Jessica. She'd be too emotional. I needed someone calm and wise. I pressed the call button for the nurse. Could I see the doctor if she's still here? A few minutes later, the doctor came in. One look at my face and she was on alert. Emily, what happened? Are you feeling unwell? No. Physically I'm fine, but I just learned something, and I don't know how to live with it. I handed her my phone with the open email. She read it, frowned, then looked at me with sympathy. Emily, I'm not a psychologist, but as a woman, I'll say these things like this happen. Men can be weak, selfish, even cruel. And from the looks of it, your husband is exactly that. What am I supposed to do? I'm pregnant, in the hospital with complications, carrying twins, one baby is in danger, and now I find out my husband is cheating and planning to leave me. And his mother knew all along. She sighed and sat beside me. Right now, you need to think only about yourself and the babies. Everything else comes later, when you've given birth, recovered, and are ready to make decisions. For now, keep going. Don't let him know you found out. Don't start a scene. Protect your nerves and your health. But how? How can I pretend nothing happened? It's hard. Very hard. But you have to, for the babies. They're innocent, and they shouldn't suffer because of who their father is. I knew she was right. Logically, I understood. But emotionally, I wanted to scream, cry, smash dishes. I wanted to call David right then and spill everything I thought of him. The doctor, as if reading my mind, shook her head. Emily, don't. Not now. Wait until after you've given birth, until you and the babies are safe. Then you can decide how and with whom you want to live. I nodded, feeling tears run down my cheeks. She was right. Right now, their lives were what mattered. Everything else could wait. She gave me a sedative and stayed by my side until I began to drift off. The last thing I remember before sleep took me were her words. "You're strong, Emily. You'll get through this." That night, I dreamed of the beach again. The two figures on the horizon, but this time they didn't fade or disappear. They stood firm and called out to me. I walked toward them, and the sand no longer pulled at my feet. I walked easily, freely, to my children. Only to my children. In the morning, I woke with a new sense of clarity. I knew what I had to do. Not now, just as a doctor had said. For now, I had to focus only on the babies and their health. But later I would be strong. For myself and for them. Without David, without his mother, without their lies and manipulation. A nurse came in with my morning medication and breakfast. She checked my blood pressure, temperature, and listened to the baby's heartbeats on the monitor. "Everything's good, Emily. Both babies are fine, especially the second one. His numbers have improved a lot overnight. Like he's decided to fight, to live." I smiled. That was the best news I could get. My babies were alive, fighting, refusing to give up. And I wouldn't give up either, for them. In the afternoon, David came, with fruit, magazines, and a smile. I looked at him and thought, how could I have missed the falseness in his words, in his eyes? "How are you feeling today? How are the babies?" "Better. Much better. They say things are improving. Both babies are doing well." Something flashed in his eyes. Something that looked like dissatisfaction. That's good. Very good. "So, when will you be discharged?" "I don't know. The doctors say I'll stay until delivery. The risk of relapse is too high." He nodded, almost like that was exactly what he wanted to hear. He took out the fruit and juice and set them on the nightstand. "Hey, I brought apples, oranges, grapes, and pomegranate juice. It's good for hemoglobin." "Thanks, but I can't. The doctors banned everything except hospital food. Strict diet for preeclampsia." The lie came easily. Lies to save my children. "But you ate the fruit I brought before." "Yes, but yesterday my blood pressure spiked after eating grapes. Now it's only hospital food." He nodded, but I could tell he didn't believe me. Still, he took the fruit back home. We chatted about the weather, the news, movies. I kept calm, hiding the fact that I knew about his betrayal and the attempt on my babies' lives. When he left, I exhaled in relief. Pretending was harder than I thought, but I had to, for the babies. That evening, Mom and Jessica came. I didn't tell them the truth either. Everything in its time. The days in the hospital passed slowly, one like the next. The only bright spots were the visits from Mom, Jessica, and David. Yes, he came every day, just as he promised, bringing fruit, magazines, sometimes flowers, talking about a future I now knew would never happen. The doctor could see my state and sometimes stayed after rounds, telling me stories about women who had been betrayed but found the strength to live for themselves and their children. One evening, after everyone had left, there was a knock at the door. I thought it was the nurse with my medicine, but in the doorway stood a young woman. Pretty, long blonde hair, frightened eyes. "Are you Emily?" I nodded, not sure who she was. "Hi, I'm Anna. I need to talk to you. It's important." My heart skipped a beat. Anna, the one David had written to. His mistress. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her bag strap. I didn't know if I should come. I hesitated for a long time. But then I decided, you need to know the truth. I stared at her, thinking only one thing. She didn't know that I already knew. "I've been seeing your husband for 6 months. We met at a corporate event. He came to audit our branch. At first, it was just light flirting, conversation. Then it got serious. Or at least I thought it did." She spoke quickly, afraid I might interrupt. I stayed silent. "David told me your marriage was a mistake, that you didn't understand each other, that you'd been living like roommates for a long time, that you were planning to divorce. But then you got pregnant, and he couldn't leave you like that. He said he had to stay until the baby was born, make sure everything was fine, and then we'd be together." I realized he'd been lying not only to me, but to her. I believed him. But then I overheard a conversation between him and his mother. They didn't know I was nearby, and what I heard, she trailed off. What did you hear? Anna looked up at me, her eyes full of tears. His mother said he needed to get rid of the baby, that then nothing would keep him with you, that they could arrange it so you'd lose the baby and no one would suspect a thing. She talked about some pills that could be slipped into your food or drink to cause a miscarriage, but make it look natural. And David, he didn't object. He agreed, said it was the only way. The room spun around me. It was too monstrous to process. I was in shock. By the way, if you're still with me and finding this story unbelievable, please hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. I ended things with him right away. Then I heard you were in the hospital with complications. And I thought, what if they've already done it? It all fit. My collapse at the family party. David's refusal to call an ambulance. His mother's words, don't call. She's pretending. They knew why I was sick. Because they'd done it. When did you hear this conversation? 3 days ago. I went to his place, but he wasn't there. His mother was. She was talking to him on the phone. 3 days ago, the day after I told David about the twins, and that one was weaker, they decided to help nature along. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to go to the police, but I have no proof. Then I decided to tell you so you could be careful. I looked at her and felt a strange connection. We had both been deceived by the same man. Thank you for coming and telling me. She looked at me in surprise. You're not angry? You don't blame me? No, I knew about you. I found his email by accident, but I didn't know about the plan to get rid of the babies. Now I understand why I'm here in the hospital, why my pregnancy was at risk. Anna lowered her head as if ashamed, but she had nothing to be ashamed of. She wasn't the one cheating on her spouse. She wasn't planning the murder of unborn children. Anna, what will you do? I sighed. That was a complicated question. I don't know. For now, I'll just protect my children however I can. Later, I'll figure it out. She nodded, understanding I needed time to think, to decide my next move. If I can help in any way, here's my number. She handed me a piece of paper. I took it, folded it, and put it in the nightstand. You have nothing to apologize for, I said. You're a victim, too, just like me. She gave me a small smile, nodded, and quietly left, closing the door behind her. I was alone again, with new knowledge, new understanding of the situation, and a new fear. If David and his mother were capable of this, what else could they do? What would they try when they realized their plan had failed? That the babies were alive and would soon be born. I pressed the call button for the nurse. I wanted to speak to the doctor, to tell her about what I just learned, about the new danger. But it wasn't my doctor who came. It was the on-duty physician, a young man I'd never seen before. He listened carefully, asked a few questions, then frowned. Emily, what you're describing is a very serious accusation. Attempted murder, poisoning. If it's true, the police need to be involved. But I have no proof. Just the word of a woman who overheard the conversation, and the fact that I ended up in the hospital with complications right after that family gathering where David and his mother were. He thought for a moment, then suggested, let's run some tests. We'll check if there are any traces in your blood of drugs that could have caused pregnancy complications. If there are, it will be proof. I agreed. It was a chance to catch David and his mother in an attempt to kill my babies. The doctor drew my blood and said the results would be ready tomorrow. He advised me not to tell anyone about my suspicions. Not my husband, not my mother-in-law, not even my mom or my friend. The fewer people knew, the safer it would be for me and the babies. That night, I barely slept. I lay there listening to the steady beeping of the monitor. 2 heartbeats inside me. 2 tiny human beings who had almost become victims of their father's and grandmother's selfishness. In the morning, during rounds, the on-duty doctor gave me a signal and came over when we were alone. Emily, the results are in. Your blood shows traces of misoprostol. In small doses, it causes uterine contractions and can lead to miscarriage, especially if the pregnancy is already complicated. My throat tightened. So it was true. They really had tried to kill my babies. To poison me and cause a miscarriage. What now? Medically, we continue treatment. The drug is already leaving your system. The concentration is low. Legally, you can go to the police. You have evidence. And if I wait until after I give birth, in 2 weeks, the drug will be completely gone from your system. But we can preserve the test results. There'll still be proof. I nodded. It was a reasonable compromise. I'd have the evidence, but I wouldn't risk putting myself and the babies through the stress of an investigation now. And one more thing, Emily, be careful. Don't eat or drink anything brought by your husband or his mother. Only hospital food or what your mom or friend brings. I'd already been following that rule ever since I found out about David's betrayal. After he left, I lay there for a long time, thinking about how everything I thought was solid had crumbled. My husband's love, our marriage, our plans. It was all a lie. And Weiss, behind that lie was real evil. In the afternoon, David came with fruit, juice, and a smile on his face. How are you today? How are the babies? Everything's fine. The doctors say things are improving. My blood pressure is stabilizing, and the babies are okay. Especially the second one. His numbers are getting better. Something flashed in his eyes. Something that looked like dissatisfaction. That's good. Very good. So, when will you be discharged? I don't know. The doctors say I'll stay until delivery. The risk of relapse is too high. He nodded, almost like that was exactly what he wanted to hear. He took out the fruit and juice and set them on the nightstand. Hey, I brought apples, oranges, grapes, and pomegranate juice. It's good for hemoglobin. Thanks, but I can't. The doctors banned everything except hospital food. Strict diet for preeclampsia. The lie came easily. Lies to save my children. But you ate the fruit I brought before. Yes, but yesterday my blood pressure spiked after eating grapes. Now it's only hospital food. He nodded, but I could tell he didn't believe me. Still, he took the fruit back home. We chatted about the weather, the news, movies. I kept calm, hiding the fact that I knew about his betrayal and the attempt on my babies' lives. When he left, I exhaled in relief. Pretending was getting harder, but I had to, for the babies. That evening, Mom and Jessica came. I didn't tell them the truth either. Everything in its time. The days in the hospital passed slowly, but I was getting better. My blood pressure normalized. The swelling went down. My tests improved. And most importantly, the babies were doing well, too. Especially the second one who had been behind before. Now, his numbers were almost the same as his brothers. The doctor was pleased. If things keep going like this, we can make it to 35 weeks. That's a good term for twins. And if it happens earlier, at the first sign of trouble, emergency C-section. But for now, everything's going well, especially since you started following our strict diet. Her knowing smile told me she was aware of the test results and supported my little lie. David kept coming every day, but now without fruit or juice. Only magazines, books, flowers. I kept playing my role, pretending to believe every word. One day, he didn't come alone. He brought his mother. Linda looked smug, in a new suit with perfectly styled hair and a heavy gold pendant around her neck. I tensed when I saw the woman who, along with her son, had planned to kill my children, her own grandchildren. Linda, Emily, you gave us all such a scare. But it's okay. The important thing is you're better now. The doctors say you're recovering and that the baby is fine. I forced myself to smile. The babies, Linda, we're having twins. 2 boys. I caught the same flicker in her eyes that I'd seen in David's recently. Displeasure. Disappointment. She too had been expecting a different outcome, expecting their plan to work, for the babies to die. Yes, of course. Twins, David told me. What joy. What happiness. She said the right words, but there was no sincerity in her voice, only fake sweetness. I looked at her and wondered how I had never noticed the act all these years, how I had believed she'd ever accept me, let alone love me. Linda sat on the edge of the bed and took my hand. I forced myself not to pull away. You know, Emily, I've been thinking about the future, about how we'll live after the babies are born. And I've decided you should move in with me. I have a big apartment, 3 bedrooms. It'll be convenient for you, and I'll help with the babies. Twins are a lot to handle alone. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. After everything she'd done, this offer was absurd. Thanks for the offer, Linda, but David and I have already decided we'll stay in our own apartment. My mom will help me. She came here especially and rented a place nearby. Linda pursed her lips. Well, Emily, think about it. Your mom is not a young woman. It'll be hard for her with 2 newborns. My mom is 53, Linda, the same age as you, and she's full of energy. It was a small but sharp jab. Linda gave a strange smile. Yes, of course. I just wanted to help, but if you've already decided, David, who had been silently standing by the window, suddenly spoke up. Mom, Emily's right. We'll be more comfortable in our own apartment, and Emily's mom really wants to help with the grandkids. We can't say no to her. I looked at him in surprise. He was siding with me, not his mother, unlike the old David. Linda looked just as surprised, shooting her son a glare full of outrage, but said aloud, Well, as you wish. I only wanted to help. I nodded, pretending to believe her, though I knew the real reason for her offer. Control. Control over me, the babies, and David. They left half an hour later. Linda irritated, David silent. I was left with the feeling of a small but important victory. That evening, Dr. Reyes came, not on rounds, just to talk. I told her about Linda's visit, her offer, and my refusal. She listened closely and said, You did the right thing, Emily. Stay away from those people. They are dangerous. I know, but what do I do next? After the babies are born, you have evidence, the test results, and a witness, Anna. That's enough to go to the police. And if they deny it, then the question will be, why would a woman who wanted her baby so badly take a drug to end the pregnancy? It's illogical, but the theory that someone slipped it to you without your knowledge makes perfect sense. I nodded. She was right. But it's your decision, Emily. And remember, whatever you decide, I'm on your side. I gave her a grateful smile. That conversation gave me strength. I knew I wasn't alone. There were still many questions. Should I stay with David and pretend I didn't know? Or should I leave and start a new life? It was terrifying, but not as terrifying as living with a man who had tried to kill my children. That night, I dreamed of the ocean again. 2 small figures on the horizon grew closer. 2 boys, identical as 2 drops of water, smiling and reaching out to me. I walked toward them easily, freely. In my future, there was no place for David or his mother. In the morning, I woke certain I was making the right choice. I knew I could raise my sons on my own, love them, protect them, give them everything they needed. Without David, without his help, without his love. Weeks passed, and I kept getting better. My blood pressure was normal, the swelling gone, my tests perfect. The babies were equal in development, their heartbeats strong. Dr. Reyes was amazed. In 20 years of practice, I've rarely seen such a fast improvement with preeclampsia, especially with twins. It's almost a miracle. It's not a miracle, I smiled. It's just that my body and my babies are finally free from poison. By the 35th week, I was ready to give birth. The doctors decided on a planned C-section because of the twins and my history of preeclampsia. I agreed. I wanted my boys to be born healthy and strong. The date was set for the following week. David, when he found out, was oddly calm. Mom and Jessica were excited and happy. I hadn't told them about my decision to leave him. All in good time. And then the day came. The day my boys would be born. I woke early, filled with anticipation. Today, I would become the mother of 2 beautiful, healthy, strong boys. My boys, my future. David arrived early with a huge bouquet of white roses and a nervous smile. I looked at him thinking, this is the last day. The last day I'll pretend I don't know. That I don't know about his betrayal, about his attempt to kill. The last day of our false, hollow marriage. How are you feeling? Nervous? He asked. A little, but mostly excited. Today I finally get to see our sons. Finally, hold them. He nodded, put the flowers in a vase, sat beside me, and took my hand. His fingers were cold and damp. He was nervous, not from happy excitement, but because his plan had failed. Today, the children he had tried to kill would be born healthy, strong, alive. I'll wait in the hallway during the operation, and then I'll be the first to see our boys, he said. I gave a faint smile. No, not the first. I would be the first. I was their mother, the woman who had protected them from their father and grandmother. They wheeled me into the operating room around 10 a.m. White walls, bright lights, the smell of antiseptic. I lay on the table, listening to the doctors' voices, thinking about my boys, what they'd be like. Our life without David and Linda, without their lies and betrayal. There was no pain, only a strange pressure low in my abdomen. Then came the first cry, loud and indignant. My firstborn. A minute later, the second cry, just as strong. The one who had once lagged behind was born as robust as his brother. Dr. Reyes, assisting in the surgery, smiled. Congratulations, Emily. 2 beautiful, healthy boys. 5 APGAR points each. They showed them to me. Identical, perfect. My sons, my future. I cried from happiness and a love I had never felt before. After the surgery, they moved me to my room. David was there, pale, tense, with a forced smile. Linda stood beside him, just as pale. How are you? How are the babies? He asked. We all fine. The boys are healthy and strong. 5 points each. I caught the flicker of disappointment in their eyes. They had expected a different outcome. That's wonderful, Emily, Linda said. When can we see them? Soon. They are being checked now. Then they'll bring them to me for the first feeding. They nodded, exchanging a glance that made me uneasy, but I was too happy to dwell on it. A nurse came in. Sorry, the patient needs rest. Please come back tomorrow during visiting hours. David started to protest, but Linda stopped him. Of course, we understand. Emily needs her rest. They left, and I breathed in relief. Finally alone. An hour later, they brought the babies. 2 tiny bundles in blue blankets. The nurse helped me sit up and place them in my arms. I couldn't tell them apart yet, but I knew I'd learn. I nursed them, first one, then the other. It was new, but it felt so right. I swore I would always be there for them, protect them from the world, even from their father and grandmother. After feeding, they were taken back to the newborn ward for special care. I lay there smiling. I was a mother, despite everything that had happened. That evening, Mom and Jessica arrived, excited and glowing. They were allowed to see my boys through the glass. Emily, they're so beautiful, so perfect. Mom said, 2 little angels, and they look so much like you as a baby. I was glad she saw my reflection in them, not David's. Have you chosen names yet? Jessica asked. I thought for a moment. David and I had discussed options before, but that was before I learned the truth. Now, I wanted new names. Names I chose myself. I'm thinking Ethan and Matthew. Ethan means strong. Matthew means gift from God, because they are both the greatest gift of my life. Mom and Jessica nodded in approval. We talked late into the evening about the future, but I didn't mention my plan to leave David. I didn't want to darken the day. That night they brought the boys again for feeding. I held them and felt so much love my heart could burst. In the morning, Dr. Reyes came, checked my stitches and said, "You're healing well, Emily. If it continues like this, we can discharge you and the babies in a week." Home. The word made me pause. Not to the apartment where they had tried to poison me. No, Dr. Reyes, I'd like to speak with you in private. It's important. Of course. I'll stop by after rounds, she said. Around 11 o'clock, David came with flowers and toys, his eyes watchful. How are you feeling? How are the boys? Good. They are both fine, I replied. He gave me a quick look, as if he suspected something. What do you mean, despite everything? I took a deep breath. No, not time for confrontation yet. First, I had to make sure I had a plan. A plan to live without him, without Linda, without their lies and betrayal. I just mean they were born early. The doctors said there could be problems, but there aren't. They are perfectly healthy. He relaxed, nodded, believed me or pretended to. I'm glad. Really glad. They are. They are our future, Emily. Our sons, our family. I looked at him and thought, how can he say those words? Pretend to love the children he tried to kill? We talked for a few more minutes about the boys, about plans, about a future I knew would never happen. I nodded, smiled, pretended to believe every word, even though I was boiling inside. When he left, promising to come back in the evening, I breathed out in relief. Pretending was getting harder, but I had to until I knew my children were safe. At noon, Dr. Reyes came as promised. She sat beside me. What did you want to talk about? I'm not going back to my husband after I'm discharged. I can't. Not after what I've learned. She nodded, unsurprised. That's your decision, and I respect it. But where will you go? With 2 newborns. To my mom. She rented an apartment nearby, 2 rooms. She'll help until I'm back on my feet. Until I find work. Dr. Reyes nodded. And your husband? What will you tell him? The truth. That I know about the affair. About his plan to leave me after the birth. About the attempt to poison me and cause a miscarriage. And that I'll never allow him near the children. He might deny it. And he has legal rights as their father. I have proof. The test results showing misoprostol in my blood. And a witness, Anna, who heard him talking to his mother. That's enough to take away his rights and open a criminal case. And are you ready for that? For court, for publicity, for scandal. I hesitated. Part of me wanted justice, and for him to be punished. Another part just wanted to start a new life without a trial, without the public knowing. I don't know. You don't have to decide now. You have time. Think about it, Dr. Reyes said. Whatever you decide, I'm on your side. After she left, I stayed out the window for a long time. Yes, it would be hard and frightening. But for my boys, I was ready for anything. That evening, Mom and Jessica came with food, news, and warm smiles. I wasn't sure if I should tell them, but looking at their faces, I knew they had to know. Mom, Jess, I need to tell you something. It's hard, but you have to hear it. And I told them everything. About David's affair, his plans, the attempt to poison me, and my decision to leave. They listened silently. Mom's eyes were filled with pain and anger. Jessica's with fury and a need to act. Sweetheart, this is terrible. How could he? Mom said, hugging me gently. I don't know, Mom, but I'll never let them near my children. Never. He needs to be held accountable, Jessica said. Both of them should answer for trying to kill you and the babies. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure I'm ready for court and publicity right now. Don't decide now, Mom said gently. We'll be here for you. We'll help you with everything. Yes, we are. We're with you, Jessica added. And those people will never come near you or the kids again. I smiled through my tears, feeling endless gratitude. We discussed plans. Mom offered her apartment. Jessica offered to help with housing and legal matters. When they left, I felt calmer, more certain in my choice of a path without David. That evening, he came again, alone, without his mother. The same fake smile. How are you feeling? How are the boys? We're good. The doctors say if things stay this way, we'll be discharged in a week. He sat next to me and took my hand. I prepared everything at home. Bought cribs, a twin stroller, toys, clothes, everything you need. I nodded, not telling him I'd never return there. And my mom helped. She's so worried she wants to be useful. Inside, my anger flared, but I stayed calm. I thought maybe we should still move in with my mom. She has a big apartment, 3 rooms. It'll be comfortable, and she'll help with the kids. Twins are a lot of work for one person. I stared at him in disbelief. He was still pushing this. After everything, after I'd already refused. Was it stubbornness, persistence, or part of some new plan I didn't yet know about? No, David, we've already discussed this. We'll stay in our apartment. My mom will help me. She came here for that and rented a place nearby. He frowned, clearly unhappy with my answer. MMH, think about it. My mom has more experience raising children. She raised me alone after my father died. She knows how to take care of kids. And my mom raised me and my brother. She knows how to take care of kids, too. And she's free now, not working, and can devote herself completely to her grandkids. David sighed, annoyed by my stubbornness. Fine, have it your way. But if you change your mind, my mom's help is still on the table. I nodded, not saying that I would never change my mind and would never let his mother near my children. He stayed a little longer, talking about work and plans for our future, a future I knew would never exist. I half listened, playing the role of the trusting wife. When he left, I exhaled in relief. One more week. 1 week of pretending. Then I'd be free. Of him, of Linda, of their lies and evil. The days in the hospital dragged. I recovered from the surgery, learned how to care for the babies. The doctors were pleased with our progress. David came every day. Sometimes Linda came with him, wearing the same fake smile. I smiled back, hiding my hatred. Mom and Jessica also came daily, bringing everything I needed. Mom set up the apartment. Jessica handled paperwork and legal matters. And then the day came. The day I would start my new life without David and his mother. Dr. Reyes examined us, signed the papers. You're good to go, Emily. But the first weeks will be the hardest, especially with twins. Don't hesitate to ask for help. Thank you for everything, Dr. Reyes. I don't know what I would have done without you. You're strong, she said. You'll manage. By 10 a.m., Mom and Jessica arrived with clothes, documents, and a new stroller. We dressed the boys in matching blue jumpsuits, bundled them up, and placed them in the stroller. I changed into regular clothes. I felt strange, but also free, ready to start over. Then David walked in, holding a bouquet of white roses, smiling, but with tension in his eyes. He froze when he saw us ready to leave. What's going on? I thought we'd go home together. I called a taxi. I looked at Mom and Jessica. They nodded. David, we need to have a serious talk. He frowned. About what? What happened? I know everything. About your affair with Anna. About your plan to leave me after the birth. About the attempt to poison me to cause a miscarriage. About all the harm you and your mother have done to me and the kids. He paled, stepping back. MMH, what are you talking about? This is postpartum depression. Don't lie. I have proof. The test results showing misoprostol in my blood. And a witness, Anna, who heard you talking to Linda about getting rid of the babies. That's enough not just for divorce, but for criminal charges. He stayed silent, not knowing what to say. Mom stepped beside me. Emily and the children are coming with me, and I demand that you don't try to contact them or interfere in their lives. Neither you nor your mother. You can't do this. They are my children. I have rights. Rights? Jessica scoffed. What rights does someone have who tried to kill his own children? You have no rights, neither moral nor legal. David clenched his fists. You can't prove anything. This is all in your head. I can, and I will if you don't leave us alone. And then you and your mother will end up in prison for trying to kill me and my children. He looked at me, and I saw fear in his eyes. Real, primal fear, of a man who realized he'd been caught, that there was no escape from the consequences. MMH, you're bluffing. You have no proof, no witnesses. No one will believe you. I pulled a folder from my bag. The test results, Anna's statement, and every piece of evidence I'd collected over the past 2 weeks with the help of Dr. Reyes, Mom, Jessica, and everyone who stood by me. Here, David. Every detail, every proof, every testimony of what you did. And I will use it if I have to, if you don't leave us alone and try to interfere in our lives. He stayed silent, realizing he had lost, that his plan had failed, and he had no choice but to back down. Fine, Emily, you win. I'll leave you alone. But remember, you're taking a father away from his children. A father who loves them, cares for them, wants to be part of their lives. I gave a bitter smile. He was still lying, still pretending to care for the children he had tried to kill. Leave, David, and never come back. Neither you nor Linda. Never come near my children again. He stood for another moment, as if he wanted to say something, then turned and walked out. Out of the hospital, out of our lives for good. I exhaled, feeling the weight of lies, fear, and pretending lift from my shoulders. A weight I'd carried ever since I learned the truth about David's affair. His plan to leave me after the birth, in his attempt to poison me and cause a miscarriage. Mom hugged me tightly and gently. "You did it, sweetheart. I am proud of you." Jessica hugged me too, holding me in support. The three of us stood together, three women ready to protect and love my boys. A few minutes later, we were ready to leave. I looked around the room one last time, the place where I had spent 2 weeks, where my sons were born. We stepped out into the bright spring day. Everything was in bloom, the air filled with the scent of flowers, as if nature itself was welcoming us into a new life. Mom helped settle the babies into the taxi, then sat beside me and took my hand. "Home, sweetheart." I nodded, smiling through my tears. Home to a new life, to new happiness. Without David and his mother. As the taxi pulled away, taking us from the past, I looked at my sleeping sons and promised myself I would always love them, protect them, and do everything for their happiness. A year later, when my boys were already walking and saying their first words, I sat in the kitchen of my mom's apartment, drinking tea and watching her play with her grandsons. She loved them, protected them, and gave them the very best, helping me without hesitation or doubt. I thought about how much I had changed in that year, how much stronger I had become, how I had learned to live without David and his support, starting a new story, mine and my children's. It had been hard, especially those first months with 2 newborns. But I had made it, with the help of Mom, Jessica, and everyone who stood by me. Now I could see with certainty I was happy. With my sons, my mom, and my friends. Without him, without his mother, without their lies and betrayal. Sometimes in the evenings, I thought about David, the man I had loved for 5 years, who had betrayed me in the most monstrous way. I didn't know where he was or how he lived, and I didn't want to know. He was part of the past. I had chosen the right path. A path without him. A path of strength, love, and hope. A path where I was happy with my boys. What would you have done in my shoes? How would you have handled such a deep betrayal? Tell me what you think in the comments. I really want to know.